Hello everyone. Now after playing a bunch of American battleships lately, I have gotten so bored of them. So today I decided to feature something a bit different. The matchmaking is, of course, well, tier 10 and it's quite harsh, mostly because we are playing the Mainz. And we're playing the Mainz on a map that is Okinawa. And Okinawa is painful for cruisers, especially with the spawn I got here. And the main issue really with the Mainz is that the Mainz does not trade well in open water gunboating because, well, most of their battleships have either very hard-hitting guns or fast shells or just the ability to punish you so very easily because of the thin plating on the ship, and of course because we don't have any heal on the ship we can't really sustain either, so even trading against their cruisers in the open would be very rough indeed. So I'm gonna do something that I normally dislike and something that I recommend against, but on maps like this one, you're sometimes just forced to do it. And that is, I'm gonna switch sides. The reason why I generally argue against this is because, well, you tend to weaken that flank substantially. But in this case, a Mainz trying to open water gunboat at C would already be such a weak addition to the flank, and I know that the actual impact I could have on the outcome of the game, the help I could provide on that flank would basically be non-existent. They had the Petropavlovsk on that flank as well, so my HSman would basically have done nothing against him whatsoever, and obviously he would have had a very easy time of just blapping me. So I'm quite satisfied with my decision to move north. The reason, of course, to reposition north on a map like Okinawa is you need island cover. That is how light cruisers. I would do the same in the Cleveland. The Chapayev can do somewhat okay in the open, and Chapayev has radar, which provides utility. Cleveland doesn't have the range, Mainz doesn't have the speed or the shell velocity to really do that kind of open water gunboating. But there are some exceptions to this. In general though, when you're up tier twice and you're playing a cruiser without a heal, you get a bit more leeway when it comes to choosing your position to try to not just succeed, but honestly basically just survive. I'm a bit annoyed looking at the minimap. Sorry about this. I was talking to chat, so I'm not really paying attention to what I was doing with my mouse. So sorry about the fiddling back and forth. It will calm down once I start focusing on the game and not just talking with chat. I am a bit annoyed seeing that, well, my Massachusetts, my Sovietsky Soyuz and my Kurfürst, three incredibly tanky and strong ships that could easily sit in the open and take map control, they are all choosing to sail north up behind this island. When you go there in a light cruiser without a heel with no armor, you go there because you need the island cover. When you go there in the likes of a Sovietsky Soyuz, Massa or Kurfürst, well, you go there because you want to hide. You're not going there because you think it will maximize your utility. You're going there because, well, you can hide from most of the enemy gunfire. And the reason why I hate when people sail their battleships up there, unless it's basically a Pommern or something that intends to just YOLO rush, is because they do it to evade the battle. And they kind of go, well, I'm not going to do anything for the outcome of this game. I'm going to let my team do it. So I really, really dislike that. However, the Republic started pushing mid and I did get DD spotted, so I decided if I'm spotted I might as well start putting down some damage on this Republic charging up. Note that I keep zooming out in between shots, and I keep a very close eye on the battleships on my right side, because if any of those battleships behind A start shooting, I need to be aware of it. So I'm paying very close attention to priority target, as well as what those BBs are doing. As long as the Republic keeps kiting or pushing towards me, I can keep kiting away, and of course laying down as much damage on him as possible. The moves he's making would obviously not be possible if my team had some more map control, but if you look at the minimap you can see that all my BBs have already abandoned all semblance of central control. They have sailed to the edges of the map, to the corners. Two of my DDs also managed to die very, very quickly, so this is already turning out to be a very, very rough game. And I'm doing my best to conserve my health because, well, at this point it's already quite obvious that no one from my team is going to be carrying this game, so I'll have to be the one doing it. My Stalingrad is also rushing into B, which all alone can only result in one thing, and that is a death. I keep kiting away, keep playing fire. The goal in the Mainz is often to try to get, it doesn't even matter how much damage you're getting in, what's important in the early game is getting a bunch of hits in. That is of course if you're running Luthians like I am. Now dealing damage is always good, but there's more of a purpose here than just getting trying to kill this Republic, I'm also trying to farm the maximum amount of hits possible. I start so many fires, I'm pretty sure he does have damage con, but while he is damage conning those fires, I'm switching to AP to get some extra damage in. Mainz AP DPM is of course fantastic. If you get to use it on any broadsides, do. The damage output can be truly disgusting, as this Republic is probably noticing. 6,000 per volley at 14 kilometers is nice. You can even do 10k if you manage to get good volleys in. He starts angling in. It's too late for me to turn out. I'd like to turn out, but I'm already committed, so I decide to turn in instead and hope that my team combined can kill this guy before he absolutely dumpsters me. I turn in, slow down. The idea here is not to try to tank or bounce the Republic shells. The Mainz doesn't have the armor for it. The goal here is full avoidance. That is avoiding the damage altogether. I had hoped my Ataga would maybe turn out and start shooting him, but the Ataga chooses to hide behind the island as well. I managed to dodge some additional shells, and I do manage to get away from the fight without really losing much health at all, and in return getting a bunch of damage in on the Republic. Seeing as the Republic is gone, I instantly turn my guns to another target. This is what you want to be doing, and this is of course why you would position up here in something like a Mainz or any light cruiser. Your ability to deal damage over islands while remaining undetected is why you go here. And of course, if you're playing a light cruiser, what you want to be doing is dealing the maximum amount of damage while avoiding any incoming damage possible. And the easiest way to do it is this right here. Sitting behind an island and just farming any target you can. If you manage to achieve this in a game, you're positioning well. People will go, "Oh, you coward, oh, come out and fight like a man." But these are potatoes, and you need to ignore them, because they are potatoes, and the second they say that, they prove to the world that they are in fact potatoes. If you can, in a cruiser whose whole purpose is to deal damage, you don't have radar, you don't have any sort of tanking power, the only thing you have is damage. If you can, in a cruiser, maximize your damage output while taking no damage in return, you are playing a fantastic game. Sadly, the small one does spot me, so I'm forced to accelerate and dodge as the North Carolina shoots me, but as you can see, that brief spotting and allowing that North Carolina to get that one volley in, even though I was perfectly angled, still cost me 10,000 health. And when you have 42k and no way to heal it back, losing a quarter to a single volley does demonstrate how important it is to try to conserve your health, especially when up-tiered, especially in a cruiser. For some reason, people in cruisers play far too aggressive. They charge in, they get themselves killed, and then they lose all their utility, all their strength, all their viability. The North Carolina burns to death. I have racked up a surprising 114,000 damage. Well, Mainz is one of my few recommended German premiums as of late, because, well, strongly recommended. I mean, Pommern is really fun, Odin is really good as long as you're not up tiered, but Mainz is one of those ships that, if you like the light cruiser playstyle, it is a powerhouse at tier 8. For the simple fact that it just deals so much damage. That is really Mainz's gimmick, especially with Gunther Lutyens. The damage you pump out is absurd. I'm trying to ping my battleships here to come on, like, get a move on. They are all just sitting behind this island. They're not doing a whole lot. They got a ton of health remaining, and they're just sitting here watching while the enemy has all the caps. So this is obviously a huge problem. Seeing as they're not looking to move, I'm trying to push out instead and trying to keep damage in on this Monarch. As much damage as possible. If the DD starts harassing me, that's fine, as long as my battleships start moving from behind that island. This is getting quite sad. In fact, my North Carolina and Thunder down south haven't really done a whole lot regarding map control, besides running away either. I get a fire, trying to get an additional one. Pommern pops up, keeping a close eye on my priority target now. It lights up with one, so now we're keeping an eye out what's shooting us. Is Montana aiming at us? No, not him. Who's aiming at us? This is very important. You need to keep track of your health. A Mainz can be easily devastated by just about any battleship, especially when facing higher tiers. So don't stay tunnel visioned and shooting. Your priority is always your own survival. Damage you can deal later, but in a cruiser, one single mess up can get you devastated. And it's important to keep that as your #1 priority. It's the same when you play DD. Staying alive is the single most important thing. You can't deal more damage if you're dead. I managed to get undetected. Gliding behind the island means that the Montana no longer has vision of me. The small land is on the other side of the island, and this time the small land is close enough. We did get vision of a Benham earlier at the start of the game, but the Benham was so far away that there was no point shooting, because as you can see, the shell arcs and the accuracy at this range is what it is. But at around 10 to 12k, you can 10 to 12 km, you can easily deal some damage. Even if when the DD starts arriving, it becomes significantly harder to actually get any sort of consistent damage in. But any damage is good damage when it comes to shooting destroyers. Small one disengages though, and we do not secure the kill, so I instantly start focusing back on the biggest threat, the biggest, strongest BB that they have remaining, and that is of course the Montana. Keep in mind of course that I also have improved pen on the Mainz because it's a German cruiser, so I do deal extra damage to him. I pop a fighter to see in case I could get vision on the other side of the island, in case there's a DD around who's left his AA on. There's all sorts of situations where the fighter plane can give you some extra information. I'm spotted, but no one is shooting at me, so we're just gonna keep dealing damage. We're down 285 to 730 points. We are very much in trouble here, and ideally my team would start playing more aggressive, but if you look at the minimap, if you look at the 8 line, my Thunder and North Carolina are conga lining away from the objective. In fact, at this point I hadn't even noticed how terribly they're doing. My Massachusetts at B2 is also sailing away from the objective. He's turned around and he's fleeing, and spoiler alert, he's also full HP. I don't know why people do this. I notice him now and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, go cap. If both you and the Kurfürst are capping at the same time, you will eventually get the cap, because they will struggle to reset both of you. And then someone else pings the Thunder and pings him to get into the corner. I'm like, wait, hold on. Oh, he's full HP. He's just running away. I don't understand what people are doing in this game anymore. I don't understand what top tier gameplay is anymore. For some reason, it's become habit for people to prioritize their own survival over winning the match. Doing it early game, just like focusing on getting into a good position and survival, but when the enemy team is clearly winning with 800 points and you're sitting in one of the strongest BBs in the game and your choice is to flee, I don't really understand what's going on there. Regardless, we keep abusing this island and just farming damage on this Montana. The more damage we put in, the better. Getting him killed is important, not just to remove his firepower from the field, because of course if he's gone then I can play more aggressively against the destroyers. The issue here is trying to hunt and push these destroyers with my Hydro is impossible as long as the Montana is sitting there. You saw what the North Carolina did to me in one volley. Montana is significantly worse for the Mainz. So the goal here is to get rid of him as soon as possible. Östergötland pops up on the other side of the island, so I instantly pop Hydro and I start accelerating full speed and turning in. The idea here is that maybe I can catch him in this German Hydro, and my team might secure the kill, getting rid of one more of the destroyers. I start another 2 fires on the Montana. He's aiming at me, trying to obviously blap me, but I do manage to burn him to death. The Massachusetts, for some reason, has still not entered A, and my Kurfürst, sadly, who was contesting A, preventing them from generating points, has decided to leave A. These are 2 huge mistakes, and the Thunder, instead of pushing in with us, is now kinda... I don't know where he's going. So this is very much... I know this is... I'm gonna have to do a whole lot of work to have any chance of recovering this. I know the DD is in front of me. I have spec'd RPF because, well, I don't bother with IFHE on the Mainz because the pen is so good on it already. I don't want to mess with my fire chance. So I have RPF and I know he was around here, so we just got Hydra active and we're charging. I'm trying to really drill it into this guy's skull that hopefully he goes and gets the objective. My Hydro spots the torpedoes, but I do have to be careful dodging these because I know there's a Pommer and a Monarch who are both looking for an opportunity to shoot me. So I swing a bit wide to the left, ready to swing to the right, and that's exactly what happens. The Monarch shoots and we full stop, throwing off his aim. Generally, if battleships have been undetected for a long time and you're spotted, you should be aware that they're probably just looking for a juicy shot. And the cruiser dodging torps tends to be one of the juiciest shots out there. Very, very easy. Seeing as I'm spotted and the Monarch kind of showed himself, no reason not to start shooting more. The DDs are afraid to open up on me, and as long as I dodge the battleship shots, I should be able to secure this cap for my team. That is a high priority right now. 265 to 927 points. This looks like an almost guaranteed loss. But there's the Jutland makes a mistake. He doesn't expect me to push up with my Hydro active, and I catch him in my Hydro. So now it's obviously go time. I turn a bit extra broadside, even risking some potential hits from the battleships just so I can get all the damage I can in. 979 points for the enemy team. They kill my Kurfürst, who sailed down here for some reason. But I do really need to secure this. 985. The enemy team is just about to win this, and I start a fire and get him down with another chunk. I turn in sharply while shooting, managing to dodge the incoming torpedoes as well. We're still in the game. 277 to 943. Kurfürst is the next target. Monarch is closer, but the Pommern is the next target. The Monarch is closer, but the priority here is to kill the Pommern as soon as possible because he's low HP, and also he has my broadside. And any broadside shots on the mines are usually citadels. I once again turn in sharply to try to dodge his shells, and Pommern's poor dispersion works in my favor at this range. The constant firing, the constant damage output of the ship allows me to pick up the Pommern as well. Note that I have got a fair few achievements here, I think like Wither and High Caliber, but for some reason they didn't show up on the replay. This latest patch has once again messed with something. Don't ask me what's going on here. Monarch perhaps thought I would die or would be under more duress, so he pushes in, and that's what I was hoping for, and I instantly start shooting him. My team gets in some good volleys, and I switch to AP as he starts giving me broadside. I turn in to try to mitigate the damage, and I get fairly fortunate only eating overpens. And at this point, of course, seeing as he has used his front guns at least, we start giving more broadside so we can use all our guns and really put out that AP DPM on the ship. He, however, turns in, and I'm not really getting the volleys I was hoping for, so he's absolutely gonna get another volley off. We switch to HE and once again angle in. We eat some fairly significant pens, but at least we don't get citadeled because we were angled enough. Keep in mind the ship has basically no armor whatsoever. I keep putting in damage. I need to kill him before his next volley because there is a risk that he might kill me, and I do in fact pick up the kill. At this point I have gotten a Kraken. You can even see it in chat, Kraken unleashed, but for some reason it doesn't show up on the replay achievements. Once again, don't blame me, blame Wargaming. This push has managed to secure us all the caps, but we are so far down on points, I really think we need to secure a kill. So ideally, at this point, the idea is to pincer them. So I start pinging where the DD is, with the vain hope that perhaps the Sovietsky Soyuz will take a wider angle, helping us box in these destroyers, because obviously this DD is going to be sailing away from me, so kind of like, I don't know, herding chicken or whatever, you go in from all sides and you pincer them in such a way that he can't escape. Sadly, the Soyuz, instead of going where the DD is going to be, he starts going where the DD is right now, and this is a fairly poor choice because the DD won't get past me and the Atago, so the only way the DD can go is towards the 1 and 2 line, and ideally Sovietsky Soyuz could have pincered them off at this point. I'm starting to shoot where I suspect he is to give my team an idea. Obviously random hits would be great, but this is more of letting my team know where this enemy destroyer is, so they kind of understand which way they should be trying to trap, which way they should catch. And the DD is exactly where I'm shooting. His torps pop up once again. I try to lose as little speed as possible dodging these torpedoes because there's only 1 minute 20 and we're still down 150 points. Securing this kill might in fact be vital. I'm not running the score mode, so I actually have no idea what the outcome of this match is going to be. My Thunder, still full HP. It bothers me when I look at my teammates who have kind of had the luxury of playing such an open map where you can gunboat from anywhere you want, and they have chosen to hide behind islands and conserve their health while the rest of their team has been dying. I really don't know why people do that, especially on Okinawa. Okinawa is kind of battleship haven because there's so little cover on this map. My Hydro, I think, caught those torps coming towards the Sovietsky Soyuz, so he gets a bit of an early warning, but he does eat one of them, so at this point I'm starting to get really worried and I just tell him to get back, or at least turn more to the right For some reason he's sailing right towards me, and if he would have taken a bit of a wider angle, we could have perhaps caught this DD in the net. 786 to 823, 20 seconds remaining on this match. I keep throwing blind fire, hoping to get my Sovietsky Soyuz to take a wider angle. 10 seconds remaining, 807 to 823, 813, 816, 822 to 823, and I do not get that final tick. This game ends in a crushing defeat. After getting so close to clawing this game back, it simply ends up not being enough, as is sadly quite often the case in World of Warships these days. 240,000 damage, Wither, high caliber, Kraken, 5 kills, 20 fires, and assisted in a capture, and we even made 2.2 million credits, but it was not enough to turn this game into a win. Team score wise, 2,140 base XP on the losing team. The closest behind me is, well, roughly half of that. I even beat their top scorer on the enemy team. It was not enough. We got so close, we put in such an effort, but in the end, this is a loss. Detailed report wise, well, we did fire 1,164 HE shells and 105 AP shells. Of course, the HE is more used for this long-range spamming, and the AP is more used for precision targeting, punishing those broadsides. 20 fires, 86,800 damage, 1.1 million potential, and even 37,000 spotting damage. The 13 AP shells that we ate, well, they speak a lot about the armor on this ship. We ate 27,000 from those 13 shells, even though we avoided citadels. It does give you an idea of how squishy the ship is and how important it is to utilize those islands to your advantage. Sadly, this is a defeat game. And a rough one. And this actually made me quit World of Warships for the day. I just started playing Mafia instead because my morale was so crushed after watching my team honestly feel like it was actively sabotaging me. Let me show you guys my recommended build for this very strong German cruiser. Right, as always, we'll start off with the equipment. First of all, main armaments, keep the turrets and torpedoes alive. Hydro duration, you saw how important it could be, especially because you have such long-range hydro. 6 km hydro is the longest in the game, and it is very, very effective. Better dispersion, mostly because you don't need the faster turret traverse, because your turret traverse is already so fast. And it does help a bit, especially at long ranges, because, well, you're throwing out so many shells, even reducing that by a slight bit does increase your DPM. And basically everything else is garbage here. In the past I might have recommended AA guns, but Wargaming has murdered that upgrade. Acceleration mod, not rudder shift, because the rudder shift, even though 10.5 isn't really the best, most of the time in the mines you find yourself doing a lot of the things you saw me doing, which is parking behind islands, or acceleration juking, or just sitting angled and even reversing towards the enemy. Basically, you are an opportunist. You want to sit there and farm, and then when they start shooting you, you're like, okay, quickly accelerate away, disengage, go dark, and then wait for the next opportunity. And for this purpose, I find acceleration is better, because even with the rudder shift, you are such an easy target to shoot, and you're such a squishy target to shoot, that I didn't think rudder shift gave me quite enough in help in keeping me alive. And finally, concealment system mod. Consumable wise, we run Hydro because it's very strong, and defensive basically does nothing except look pretty. Captain build wise, if you do have Lutyens, he is absolute top tier on the mines. What you want to run is priority target, followed by adrenaline rush, followed by fire chance and concealment expert. That is the standard build. After that, I do like things like last stand, because it's a hipper hull. You actually find yourself losing the engine quite easily to even HE spam at times. I just like the flexibility it gives you, and in general you're not that starved for points. If you can afford it, absolutely go for the expert marksman and the preventive maintenance. They are both improved on Gunther Lutyens, which makes them quite a bit stronger. Normally I recommend expert loader on almost all ships, but mine's reload is so fast, it's actually not that important on this ship. And finally, I do love RPF. It did help me hunt down DDs, it did give me a lot of information from where I was being spotted from, so the information it gives you is a nice bonus. I wouldn't say it's mandatory by any means, but it does help. Note that I'm not running IFHE because since this is a German cruiser, you do have 38mm pen even without speccing IFHE, and it kind of butchers your fire chance to such an extent that I've chosen to skip it entirely. Overall, the Mainz is in my opinion still a very strong but very squishy ship. Keep in mind that even though you do have an icebreaker, there is just so many vulnerable sections that can be overmatched. Your 28mm, well, it works against the 380mm guns, but for example in that last game, well, you saw the North Carolina shoot me, he hit my deck armor and he just overmatched it. He did 10k on my perfectly angled ship. He didn't care. And that's one of the reasons why I was so worried about the Montana as well, is because he ignores all the armor on your ship. So Mainz armor is not much to brag about, so keep that in mind when you play and try to conserve your health for later opportunities. Because even though the armor might be poor, the damage output most certainly is not. As always, that was all from me. Thank you for watching. I will try to cover the Florida at some point, but honestly, I've grown so bored of the American BBs. I've been enjoying playing some other things in between. We'll revisit the Florida. It's, I would say, an okay ship. Of all the new ones, the Kansas and the Minnesota, it is the best, but it's a tier 7 battleship that's not Synop. So why would you get it? Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later.